Hello and welcome to another episode of Changing the Narratives. And in this session, this is the session we call Changing the Narratives Conversation Series. My name is Olajade Paul, and today I have with me in the studio my co-anchor for this episode, Mr. Muyiwa Wamiloju. And today we'll be doing justice to the first segment of the session Mr. Muyiwa had with us on the first episode of the conversation series, yes, which is Ayanfe, knowing who you are. But today it is the part 2 of the session, and it will be Ayanfe, practicalizing who you are. So, and I think this session is basically talking about we as a growing person. Yes, every person that grows needs to know who they are. Once you know who you are, it is one thing to know who you are, and it is another thing to be able to practicalize it. I hope I'm communicating, Mr. Muyiwa.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So one thing I have noticed about every growing person is once they know who they are, they tend to be stagnant. Yes, most people. I think we have all been in this aspect when we first started growing, when we first started into this journey of growth. We try to find out who we are. But once we have done that, many of us, we just go into our comfort zone, and that is all. So I think this session is all about practically opening everybody's eyes. Yes, we have people who have grown. We have people who are still growing. We have people that are on the line. So this is to push everybody into the line. Let them know what is right. Let them know what is wrong. And let us all grow together and be, mentally stable on our growth. So without wasting much of our time today, we'll be looking directly into it. What are the things we as a growing person, what are the things we feel we should look at while we are growing? So, Mr. Muyiwa, can you give us a part of what you feel, and then let's discuss it together and see where we get to from there.
Okay. I actually think that we need to be intentional about every aspect of our lives. I mean, the mental, the emotional, every aspect. We can't just say, let's do a part and leave the remaining one undone, because when we get one done and we refuse to do other things along, the ones we refuse to do it spoil the one that we built. It's just as if one has built the name online and the like, but it doesn't have character to sustain it. So the character flop will bring that name down. So I think we should see it as a moving train, that as much as we are developing our personal lives, we have a lot embedded in it. We have a lot to talk about. So let's say we talk about the mental health. Let's pick it up from there.
Yes,
First.
yes. But let me go back a bit. When we talk about this intentionality, many of our growing people in this journey, they think intentionality is all about you being what do they call it? You being in your own space alone. Now I think that's what we call the introversy space. Once we hear about intentionality, yes, me practically while I was growing, I can remember that vividly. It affected me mentally. When I hear about intentionality, I feel intentionality is just about me being on my own. So it affected me a whole lot. It affected me a whole lot. Before I could be able to come into the limelight, I think it was when I joined a training back then. one of the speakers
Okay.
spoke about something on intentionality. That was when my eyes opened, and I knew I was seeing everything the wrong way. Yes, I was intentional. I was posting, but I don't kind of have a cycle of family online that will be able to guide me. So instead of me getting a family online, I just, stay in my room, do my things alone, post, and then that's all. So until this trainer talked about it, then getting a family, I had to go into some challenges, because I felt intentionality was just being alone. So it has been part of me. And then this thing kept me inwards. Yes, it kept me inwards, kept me in my shell. So I think this part of intentionality should be broadened, because intentionality does not deal with you staying in your room, does not deal with you not creating a family, a growing family, not just a family that will help you grow, not just physically, but also mentally as well. So I think I'm still right
Yeah.
on point.
Yeah, sure. You are.
So talking about the mental aspect. Yes, talking about the mental aspect. Practically, I think on the last episode of Changing the Narratives, I talked about something on mental health. So yes, I talked about mental health. That was the one I posted on Monday. I talked about mental health, how this can help, So this is Ayanfe. You should notice that once you are growing, your mental health is as important as anything that you would face
Yeah,
in this growth journey.
most definitely.
Yes. So many people, I think I talked about a story too. About a guy that many of us looked up to in my church back then. Yes, I started before this guy, but once this guy launched himself into this online space, he got massive engagement. Now even the church had to recognize him. They called him in, they gave students lecture, trained them, and the rest. But along the way, we don't know what happened. I saw this guy on Facebook. He was, I think he was in a kind of mental brain stage. He felt he's not in the right space. So I was like, oh, wow. So as a growing person, we should note that our mental health is also important while we are growing. So I don't know if you have anything to also say in this aspect, sir.
Yes, our mental health is as crucial as every other thing. In fact, I see the mental health as a foundation that every other step you take in life is built on. Sincerely, because it has a lot to do. I could recollect days when people would barge into your DM and they would be like, they'll talk to you anyhow, maybe because they're expecting some financial favors from you and you're not giving it to them, or they want to pick your courses at no cost and they just want to, be everywhere and they want to do well, they want to be known and the like. So they will hurl insults, they will say all sort of things. And to a creative soul, you know that you have to manage that emotion, you have to manage that feeling so well. Because if you don't manage it well, you're going to get yourself mud up. You're just going to get yourself in the mud.
Yes.
New Year, and it was like, maybe I'll just have my enemy will just have untimely death and the like. Those things baffled me. I was like, okay, what have I done to warrant this? So I checked my post and I saw, okay, well, let's move, Jerry. That's how we moved. So if you don't build your mental health, you get muddled up, you get frustrated at the littlest things that people do. People have a lot of things to say. If you die for them, they will tell you didn't die well. They have a lot
Yes.
of things to say, and you must be able to filter the kind of opinions that they have. Their sentiments can be shown. I was telling somebody practically, I learned how to block people last year, and I've been using my block button effectively. So how to block people on WhatsApp, I learned it last year because I was really intentional. It was getting out of errands of, okay, this one will come, will do you this, will blackmail you. This one will come, will blackmail your emotions. It's just like people coming to drop their baggage of troubles on one, and you are now carrying it because you feel like, if I don't carry, what would other people say? No, we will not do such thing. So it is imperative, it's important that people build mental health, that they are stable. Even if anything comes, they can chest it and they will still move on. Yeah.
Yes. Talking about that baggage too, I think most people on this growing stage, they tend to carry other people's baggage a whole lot. They tend to carry
Yeah.
other people's baggage a whole lot. You know, when somebody comes into your DM and tells you, bro, yeah, I remember vividly while I was still starting up. One of my friends saw me that I was posting, and then he came to my DM and was like, oh, so you think posting or doing things differently better than us makes you special? Come on, you are not that special now. So that time,
Wow.
me now, because I don't have a guardian, I don't have somebody that will point me into that direction very well. So I just felt like, well, I'm not even special. Let me just go back to what I was doing. Let me join them.
Wow.
You know, it's kind of funny how people who are just starting up can just, drop when you are just starting. People just dropping their baggage on you, and then you easily falling into that. You easily falling into that because your mental health, your mental state is not fashioned to be able to, tackle such things. Yes, it's not fashioned to be able to tackle such things. So when those baggages come, you just chase them, and then you fall with it. You chase them, you fall with it, and that's all. So I think every growing person, after knowing who they are, what they are, they should be able to also practicalize these things so as not to be able to damage that person that they know that they are. They should be able to practicalize these things, because once you don't practicalize, you fall behind the line. I think that is one mantra I've been able to follow this year. If you don't practicalize, you fall behind the line. And once you are behind the line, my brother, forget it. Everything is done for that growing person. Everything is done for that growing person. So I think practically focusing on who you are.
You're right.
Yeah, practically focusing on who you are is as important as knowing who you are. I think I'm putting in the sentence the right way. Practically focusing on
who you are.
Yes, is as important as knowing who you are. So when you don't focus, when you don't practicalize who you are, then knowing who you are is as useless. Is as useless as anything. Okay, I think when I was first called, I think when somebody called me, yes, it was UGS, Woman on Fire. You should know him. Not sure. Yes, when he first called me the King of Value, I was coming with a name that time. I think it was a name someone called me. One of my teachers back in secondary school, he called me that name, Great Polo. But that time when he called me that name, it was jokingly. I think I was one kind of student that I keep to myself, and because of that, I really don't know. Yeah, because of keeping to myself, I really don't know a lot of things. Even academically, I was lagging behind. So he called me that name mockingly. in the conference, or just because he wanted to mock me that I don't know maths. Yeah, I am not really good at maths that time. He called me the great Paulo. So practically everybody in my school started calling me the great Paulo because they wanted to also mock me. But in
Hmm.
disguise, that name became a name that changed my life around. They didn't know
Wow.
at that point in time, but calling me Great Paulo pushed me to do things I have not done before in my life. So it was as if that name changed a whole of the narratives of my life at that time. So
Wow.
pushing into your life space, doing things greatly again, somebody came around and then called me King of Value. I think that was at that point in time, that was when everything erupted. When a volcano is being, the charge of a volcano is being kept, but something comes in and then erupts it, bam. So that King of
Yeah.
Value erupts it. So I think pushing myself out gave me, pushing myself out as the great Polo, gave me that opportunity of being called the King of Value. And then at that point in time, that volcano erupted and things
Hmm.
started moving in and then started growing drastically in a way I don't think I can actually understand myself. So you see, growing is as important as practicalizing it. When you practicalize your goals,
Wow.
you get something in return. I think I'm
Yeah,
still
most
on.
definitely.
Yes, when you
You are
practicalize.
with me.
So I think you can also relate to that while you were growing also.
Yes, I can. I could recollect. I think was it JSS3? Yeah, JSS3. We're having basic tech, and I I borrowed somebody's note. I didn't come with my note that day, so they were asking us questions, and we have this kind of joint in basic tech. They call it dovetail. So I didn't check this person's notes very well. When you know the answer and you want to raise your hand so that you could be recognized. That was the motive behind it. So I just raised my hand. The teacher was calling us that, okay, what's this, what's that? People were answering questions and I felt the need to answer. And the guy was telling me that, let me answer. I said, no, let me just shine sooner. So I raised my hands and I was called. And the guy wrote rubbish. He wrote dovete instead of dovetail. So as I stood up, I just pronounced dovete join and everything just sounded awkward. They're like, why did you see that? I was so embarrassed. I won't lie to you. That tag followed me till we graduated. And I needed to have a change in everything because I felt like a failure. I felt like I wasn't going to amount to something because people were already calling me by that name. By that same mistake, they will call, they were just going on about ensuring that the name sticks and everybody gets to call me by that
Sure.
name. And I was like, okay, let me find something. Out of this trash, I can still see a message. This is a mess. We can bring out a message out of this. And of
Yeah.
course, I did. About 2 years after we graduated, I published my books and I was posting things online. People would now come, my classmates, they will now enter my DM. We enjoyed your work. Oh, we did this. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
they'll
like,
be like,
wow. So
they'll
you
be
people
like that
cannot call
bad
me
that
by
they
that
publicly
tag
say that
again.
time.
So exactly. So it is all based on the fact that if you would practicalize who you are, you have to embrace the faulty part of you too. You have to embrace
Yeah.
it. You are not perfect. We are all humans. We all are humans. So you have to embrace it. But I didn't mean I've allowed that pressure of they will name call me, they will do this, they will do that to draw me back. It would affect me. That thing gave me opportunities and it also caught my wings somewhere because some people will not see it as a joke. They will actually say, this one didn't know anything. And they won't listen to the part that I borrowed somebody's note. It wasn't my notes in the first place. So they were just doing also. But I found value in it. And that was the same thing that happened while I was walking on the street. I found value. I knew I won't be there forever. I knew that, okay, let me write a script of my life. That was what helped, actually. I was on the
Yeah.
street walking and I was going to school. So I was like, okay, let me write a script of my life. As I was shouting then, that means that I'm actually broadcasting something. I'm actually calling people's attention to things.
One
So if
thing.
I can sit back and relax, I can bring things out. I can call people's attention by writing, by inking, and they would be, encouraged. They will be motivated. I have fed people with natural food. I've fed them with physical food. I can give them things that will still help their journey. I mean, my physical food is limited. After they eat, they'll go to the toilet and then they're done. But I can
Yeah.
still give something to their inner man that would enable them. Do you get? So I
Yeah.
found value in it. People must be able to come to the alignment that where we are going, it may not be really, really straight like that. But the path to where we are heading is not easy. In fact, you will get to some point you have to turn. Then after turning, you will still turn back again because you know where you are heading. So the paths are
Sometimes you
not
just
really
feel confused.
easy, but you have to endure. You would see many things. So people will just drop off. No, me, I cannot be okay. You can't give excuses. Embrace the path life gives to you. Sit back, find meaning out of everything, and then you intensify. That's all.
All right. Okay.
So
I
are you
think
with me, sir?
I'm with you. I'm with you. So we'll have to end on this note, I think. But
Okay, sir.
one thing I would like to say finally is that whatever we do as a growing person, see every disadvantage as an advantage. Yes, see every mockery as an advantage to jump into what
Yeah,
you really are. Because they will surely make mockery
sure.
of you. That is one thing everyone should note. They will surely make mockery of you. But once you can just divert that mockery, see the good in it, see the advantage in it, and then pick it out. That is where your growth lies in. That is where your growth lies in.
Wow. My final words to those listening is that when a door closes, there are many doors that are waiting in line. For some things to happen, certain things must fall in place. I could recollect when I wanted to publish, I reached out to a publisher. I told this person, I was literally begging, please help me publish this book. You have a publishing company, a well-known publishing company. I don't want to mention name. So help me publish my piece. And they're like, no, we can't do this. We can't. Okay, no problem. And I knew that was a door that closed. But I
Yeah.
knew something better would come my way. The same year they rejected that piece was the same year Greenlight's publication was launched. The same
Wow.
year it was launched. And the same year we published 2 books in the brand. That same year. And we sold 40 copies to a school. And we put the mini online. So that book got an encounter with a South African lawyer who picked interest in it. And I won't lie to you, for 4 to 5 months, I was getting paid without seeing the person paying me. So if a door gets closed, multiple doors are waiting. Multiple doors are waiting. Don't put your eggs in in that basket of the door has closed. It cannot be opened again. This cannot happen. Just put your eggs in God's basket. They've closed this one. I mean, that's all. That's what they say about us in our family, in our this and that. No, it can't happen. Be intentional about growing. Be intentional about becoming. Be intentional about exploring other things. You are a chosen Ayanfe. We all made jest of that trend. We are all chosen for a reason. So you are here to fulfill a reason. So do not give up. Do not give up. If one door closes, other ones will be opened for you. Other ones, most definitely.
All right. So there you have it, Ayanfe. It is not enough to just know who you are. It is when you practicalize it that it stays. When you practicalize it that it stays, and then it stays with you forever. Whatever you practicalize will surely be part of you. But whatever you don't practicalize, my dear, it will leave you and run. It will leave you and run. So there you have it on today's episode. See you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us. Do have a lovely weekend ahead. I remain your humble host, Olajede Paul, and this is Changing the Narratives, the Conversation Series. Do have a lovely weekend ahead.